So we will be continuing regarding the inflammatory diseases of the heart. We have already taken endocarditis. Okay. So moving on to the next inflammatory condition of the heart, that is myocarditis. Now, as the term only indicates, okay, itis refers to the inflammation, and this myocard, it refers to the inflammation of the myocardium. Okay, so already we are knowing about the anatomy of the heart. So myocardium is a middle layer of the heart. So in myocarditis there is a inflammation of the myocardium, that is a middle layer of the heart. So along with the inflammation there is also infection, but most commonly it is seen that this myocarditis can be infectious or it can be non-infectious. Okay, now infectious means it is most of the time because of the infections like your microorganisms, and non-infectious means it can be because of other causes. Okay, like your allergens, toxins, or chemicals, drugs. Okay, all that will come under non-infectious. Okay, so myocarditis is both caused because of infectious as well as non-infectious. Okay, so this is a figure of the layers of the heart. So already we have discussed it. We have got the endocardium, inner layer, myocardium, which is a middle layer, and outer layer, which is a epicardium. So the definition as well as introduction: myocarditis refers to the inflammation of the myocardium. It can be both infectious or non-infectious. Okay, so remember the term myo refers to the muscle, card refers to the heart, and itis means inflammation. So altogether it is nothing but the inflammation of the middle layer of the heart. So definition also remains the same. Okay, inflammation of the middle layer of the heart. Now, etiology, as I have told regarding the etiology, it is most of the time caused by infections. Okay, now infections in the sense it is caused by the microorganisms. It can be caused by bacteria, virus, fungi, or even by parasites, or even by protozoa. Now, bacteria, most of the time, pneumococci, gonococci, then TB bacilli or diphtheria is responsible for your myocarditis. Viruses are also commonly, some viruses may result in myocarditis. For example, your rubella virus, adenovirus, influenza virus, polio virus, EBV, that is Epstein-Barr virus, and cytomegalovirus. Other than that, even HIV virus and ecovirus can cause myocarditis. Now, certain fungi like your Candida and Aspergillus, that also can result in the infection of the myocardium. Okay, and certain parasites also like your Toxoplasma and Trypanosoma, that also sometimes it can result in the myocarditis. Now next we will see some non-infectious agents. Okay, till now I told about microbes. Now we will see some non-infectious agents. So as I told earlier, it could be autoimmune also. Okay, most of the time myocarditis can be autoimmune in nature, where autoimmunity refers to the most of the time there is a reaction with one's own body, isn't it? So most commonly when a person is having a condition referred as polymyositis means it is an inflammation of the muscles where the person will have muscle weakness. Okay, so most of the autoimmune disorders like your rheumatoid arthritis or even your systemic lupus erythematosus, SLE, okay, these are also some connective tissue disorders. Okay, so that is why I have two etiologies there, connective tissue disorder also. Okay, so autoimmune disorders or connective tissue disorders, that also can result in your myocarditis. And most of the time it is also seen that people who are exposed to lot of radiation, like those who are undergoing cancer treatment, we know that they will undergo radiotherapy or radiation therapy. So such individuals also may develop myocarditis, okay, because of exposure to the radiation. Other than that, it is also seen that certain physical agents like your exposure to chemicals or toxins or poisons like your lead, copper, or arsenic, that also can inflame the middle layer of the heart. Then certain drugs, okay, certain drugs like your penicillin or cocaine, they have some side effects that also can result in myocarditis. Sometimes it is seen that myocarditis is idiopathic in nature. What is idiopathic? We are not knowing the exact cause. And certain times it is also noted that because of certain bite of some poisonous spiders, scorpions or wasps, that also can result in the inflammation of myocardium. Or certain cancers or certain malignancies or neoplasms can result in myocarditis. Next is your RHD and RF. When you have got this RHD and RF, most of the time the person can get myocarditis. And most of the time it is also seen that people who have got pericarditis, okay, it is associated with pericarditis. People who have pericarditis will commonly have myocarditis, because we know that myocardium is close to the pericardium. So because of that, the inflammation can spread to the nearby layer of the heart. Okay, next we will move on to the clinical manifestations. Okay, so clinical manifestations are again very important. Okay, so there is some confusion here regarding the clinical manifestation. This slide has to go behind. Okay, so it is seen that the person who is having myocarditis, most of the time they will be having chest pain. Now chest pain is the most of the time stabbing type of chest pain. Along with that, they can also have fever, because it is an infectious condition. Patient commonly can have fever and other symptoms like body pain or headache, joint pain, nausea and vomiting. That is also very common. Okay, these remaining things I will discuss later. We'll move on to the clinical manifestations. Okay, so as I told, patient will have flu-like signs and symptoms in myocarditis, like your body pain, fever, headache, joint pain will be there. Along with that, they will also have signs and symptoms related to the heart, because your myocardium is inflamed, isn't it? So because of the inflammation of the myocardium, patient can also have arrhythmias and palpitation. Okay, arrhythmias refers to abnormal heart rate and heart rhythm. The person may also have fatigue or body weakness, and breathing difficulty or shortness of breath is also very common because of decreased blood flow to the lungs or decreased oxygenation to the lungs. What happens? Shortness of breath and dyspnea is also seen. And along with that, there can be loss of consciousness or giddiness is also seen in certain patients. Okay, and it was also noted that young people who suffer with myocarditis, they usually 20% of them died because of sudden cardiac death. SCD means sudden cardiac death. Okay, and the clinical manifestations are of infection also and related to the heart also. And usually the person will be having pleuritic type of chest pain, that is, while they are breathing they may have slight chest pain. And they can also listen to some abnormal heart sounds, like your pericardial friction rub or pericardial effusion, especially when there is pericarditis along with myocarditis. Okay, that time you can listen to abnormal heart sounds like pericardial friction rub, like the grating sound of two leathers. Okay, and sometimes you can also hear an abnormal heart sound S3. Okay, and crackles also may be heard, and sometimes some patients may also progress to heart failure. Okay, so when they progress to heart failure, what happens is the person will have some edema in the body. Okay, especially peripheral edema will be there. Edema of the feet or the extremities are seen. They can have jugular vein distension, and some other signs and symptoms of heart failure are also seen, which we will discuss in detail when we move into the topic heart failure. Okay, next is moving on to the pathophysiology, because some slides I have missed earlier. Now, um, most commonly we can tell both infectious and non-infectious. Okay, I have not included here. You can write down infectious or non-infectious. Okay, virus or bacteria infectious. Non-infectious I told is allergens or chemicals and all. What happens is, because of this etiology, it will result in inflammation and injury. Okay, so when there is inflammation and injury, what happens to the myocardial contractility? It will be decreased. Okay, so there is decreased myocardial contractility. So continuous, it is affecting the myocardial contractility. What will happen as a mechanism? As a normal mechanism, what will happen in order to compensate that decreased myocardial contractility, the heart will start to enlarge. Okay, it is not normal here, but as a compensatory mechanism it is happening. Okay, in order to pump the blood, the slowly the heart will start to enlarge. Okay, that is called cardiomegaly. So here the person will have heart enlargement. Along with that, cardiac output also is reduced only. Okay, and further, most of the time the patient can have signs and symptoms of heart failure. Okay, so CHF refers to congestive heart failure or congestive cardiac failure. Along with that, patient can also have pulmonary edema, scarring of the myocardium, and arrhythmias or dysrhythmias. So this is the pathophysiology. Because of the etiological factors like infections or non-infectious conditions, there is inflammation and injury. The myocardial contractility is reduced. So as a compensatory mechanism, in order to improve the cardiac output, slowly the heart will start to enlarge. But even after that, it will not be able to supply enough cardiac output. Okay, and further there will be signs and symptoms of congestive cardiac failure or congestive heart failure, and other complications like pulmonary edema, scarring, and arrhythmias is seen. Next is diagnosis of myocarditis. So particularly we have to collect history, whether they had any previous infectious conditions, or if they are exposed to any chemicals or toxins, or they are taking any drugs, that we can ask. Physical examination should be performed. That is, we can check for or assess for abnormal heart sounds like S3 and pericardial friction rub. Or sometimes they can also have signs and symptoms of heart failure, so that also have to be checked. And as usual, we know because it is a cardiac condition, we can go for echocardiogram, that is a ultrasound of the heart in simple terms, and ECG, that is electrocardiogram, and even chest X-ray can be performed. Okay. And along with that, we have seen that the most common standard procedure that is done for myocarditis is endomyocardial biopsy. Now, biopsy, biopsy means you're taking a small specimen or a tissue. From where you are taking here, it is you're taking from the myocardium. Now, commonly endomyocardial biopsy, this procedure is done in order to see for any rejection, like after the graft and all. No, sometimes there is chances of rejection of the donor tissue. That time usually commonly we go for endomyocardial biopsy. But here also, in order to know for autoimmune conditions, we will perform endomyocardial biopsy, that is taking a small tissue or a specimen from the heart wall. Okay, that is from the myocardium. Along with that, you can also perform stool culture or throat culture, because they will have flu-like symptoms. Okay. So remember, in endomyocardial biopsy here, the catheter is inserted and they will remove a small muscle sample, that is from the myocardium. They will take a sample and they will send it for testing. Some other investigations are blood investigations like complete blood count, and even they can go for cardiac enzymes or cardiac markers like your creatinine kinase, troponin, and all. And it is also seen that because of the infection, ESR level will be high, then the CRP levels will remain high in the patient, that is C reactive protein will be high, and even the WBC count remains elevated. And along with that, some other diagnostic procedures like CT scan, MRI can be performed, and cardiac catheterization or cardiac angiogram or cardiac angiography, that also can be performed. Okay. So this, as you are knowing, this is a picture of the cardiac angiogram. We have already discussed this in detail. Okay, you can see here the doctors are visualizing it in the fluoroscopy. Next is moving on to the management of myocarditis. So medical management, as we are aware, since here most of the time infectious agents are responsible for myocarditis, we need to give the drugs in order to reduce the infection, like your antibiotics or antifungals, antivirals. Okay, such drugs have to be given. Commonly, antibiotics we give us to reduce the bacterial infection, and antivirals we give us to reduce the viral infection. For example, ribavirin. Antifungals like amphotericin B also can be given. And in order to reduce the chest pain, commonly we will prescribe non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs as well as analgesics. Okay, so commonly aspirin, ibuprofen, or even morphine can be given for the chest pain. Next is, if at all the patient is having signs and symptoms of heart failure, only then we will give diuretics to the patient, for example Lasix. Okay, and along with that, it is commonly seen that patients with heart failure will also be given a cardiac glycoside. A cardiac glycoside are those drugs which will improve the myocardial contractility. Okay, like your digitalis. Now, digitalis is one such tablet which we give, and before giving this tablet, we have to check the heart rate of the patient. That is, the pulse rate has to be checked. If at all the pulse rate is less than 60, we will withhold this digitalis tablet, because the major side effect of digitalis is it will cause bradycardia or hypotension. Okay, remember about digitalis. Next is because of in order to treat arrhythmias or dysrhythmias, we have to give antiarrhythmic drugs. Already we have discussed antiarrhythmic drugs like amiodarone or cardone. Then we have got adenosine, lidocaine. All these are antiarrhythmic drugs. Next is vasodilators also have to be given. Okay, commonly nitroglycerin also can be given, or sodium nitroprusside can be given. Then there are chances that there can be clot formations and all. So in order to reduce the clot formation or platelet aggregation, we need to give antiplatelets and anticoagulants like your aspirin, warfarin, heparin. Such drugs can be given. And we know that myocarditis can be because of autoimmunity. So which drugs will you give to treat autoimmunity? You have to give immunosuppressants. They will suppress your immunity. Okay, for example, cyclosporin and azathioprine. Now sometimes what happens is these patients will have hypertension also, so we need to give some antihypertensives. Already I have discussed in detail regarding antihypertensive classification. So commonly here we give ACE inhibitors or beta blockers. Okay, ACE inhibitors like enalapril or captopril, beta blockers like atenolol, metoprolol, propranolol. Next is moving on to the nursing management. So whenever a person is having any cardiac disorder, first of all, we have to provide adequate bed rest. Okay, bed rest will reduce the workload on the heart. Okay, so adequate bed rest have to be advised for the person. And because patient can have dyspnea, you have to monitor oxygen saturation, and also you need to provide oxygen to the patient. And continuously for 24 hours or 48 hours, you can also monitor the Holter monitoring. Okay, already I have discussed regarding Holter monitor also, where it is like continuous ECG monitoring for 24 to 48 hours. Okay, in order to know for any abnormality. Then monitoring the vital signs is essential, especially the BP of the patient, okay, and ECG, and provide semi-flawless position to the patient, and always see that you're providing a quiet environment. Then if they are having signs and symptoms of heart failure, always see that you are reducing the fluids. Okay, when they have this heart failure, you should always reduce fluid or restrict the fluids and restrict salt in the diet. Okay, because already the patient is having lot of edema, there is lot of water retention, so do not provide more of fluids and do not give salt to the patient. And monitoring the weight is essential, like daily monitoring of weight should be done. Why you are monitoring the weight is because already the patient may be having edema. Okay, and every day we need to check whether there is excess of water retention. In order to know that, what we are doing is we are monitoring the weight of the patient, and some mild to moderate exercises can be given, like passive exercises most of the time. And here, because the patient can have what patient will be usually having swelling and water retention is there, also monitor the intake output of the patient. Next is the assessment, nursing assessment. Assess for dyspnea, jugular vein distension, and edema, especially of the periphery. Then commonly it is also seen that when a patient is having severe heart failure, they will go for some other management like intra-aortic balloon pump. Okay, we call it as IABP. That we will discuss in detail in the heart failure chapter. And we also provide them with ventricular assisted devices. Okay, so this is a figure. This is IABP, okay, intra-aortic balloon pump, where you can see that you are inflating the balloon here. Okay, it is different from angioplasty. Okay, don't confuse it with angioplasty. And ventricular assisted device is actually helping your ventricles in order to pump the blood actually. Okay, and also monitor the level of anxiety of the patient and provide psychological support. Monitor the patient for any complications, provide safe environment for the patient, and see that proper infection control measures are also done. Okay, provide adequate periods of rest along with some small periods of activity, and provide a semifolus position, provide oxygen to the patient as well. Complications of myocarditis is usually it may be associated with other inflammatory conditions like pericarditis or endocarditis. And as I told, commonly some people with the myocarditis can die immediately, like sudden cardiac death. They can have arrhythmias, okay, that is abnormal heart rate, which is also called dysrhythmias, pulmonary edema. Heart failure is also one more common complication, congestive heart failure. Cardiomyopathy, because your muscles are affected and the cardiac muscle functions will reduce here, okay. And cardiogenic shock, okay. Patient can also develop cardiogenic shock because of the decreased cardiac output. So this is just a figure of a patient with myocarditis, okay. There is inflammation of the myocardium. So this is all regarding the topic myocarditis.